Thank you very much for your kind invitation and giving me the opportunity to intervene in this conference. I believe this is a very important topic for Greece. Business growth is a strong precondition for a permanent exit from the Greek crisis. It is estimated that reforming Greece's product and service markets could boost Greek GDP significantly. Clearly, the present conditions are very difficult. In particular, for business, there is a fall in domestic demand of more than 25%. Investment has declined by nearly 40%. Several thousands of companies closed in the past months, and the pressure on all aspects of business is very high, on access for finance, in particular trade finance is very difficult. The cost of capital, the late payments of the state and purchases, and the continuity of supply are all problems which exporters face. The Greek economy, compared to similar sized economies in Europe, is relatively closed. In 2010, exports of goods and services represented a bit more than 20% of GDP, while the corresponding figures in Europe are on average about 40%. So a lot can be done, and we should see it as an opportunity. Greece has also been running a very significant current account deficit for long periods over time. The peak was clearly in 2008 with a current account deficit of nearly 18%. In the meantime, in the context of the difficult years of recession, this deficit has declined to 6.3% of GDP, and the decline in value terms is even more impressive. The deficit was about 40 billion euro in 2008 and is coming down to something in the order of 13 billion forecasted for next year. In view of the limited prospects for an increase in demand in the Greek economy itself, it is clear that external demand could be an important source of growth for the Greek economic crisis, and the Deputy Minister for Foreign Affairs has indicated that the developments over the last years were quite promising already. And I'm also convinced that Greece has an untapped potential to increase exports. There is the unique geographical position. There is an educated workforce, in particular a educated youth. There are very motivated entrepreneurs, many of whom I have been able to meet. There's the quality of raw materials, and there is a lot of specific know-how. So it is very important to unlock this potential with structural reforms and export-oriented policies so that a real difference could be made. The first step has already been taken in terms of the gain in competitiveness of the Greek economy. An important contribution is the decrease in unit labor cost over the last years, and this seems to be likely to further continue, so that from a competitive point of view, Greek export industry is closing the gap which had been appearing in the years before. And the Greek government had already in 2011 indicated that indeed there is this potential and there should be a strategy in order to unlock this potential. So a national strategy for export has been drawn up in 2011, and it makes a number of important suggestions for the steps forward. I would like to focus in particular on two elements of this strategy: the promotion of Greek products abroad and the facilitation of export procedures. For export promotion, it is very important that the best practice in Europe is tapped in such a way that Greece can benefit from this best practice and implement it itself. And I'm very glad to say that the Netherlands has agreed to supply technical expertise with experts from their very successful export promotion agency. Starting in July, the Netherlands will provide assistance to the Greek authorities on the way to promote Greek experts, including the restructuring of related state agencies, national branding, overall support to the companies in Greece to focus on export and find trade partners abroad. As a first step, a mission of 4 experts from the Netherlands will meet all the stakeholders, and I hope that many of you will participate in this during a mission in Athens starting on the 11th of July. So it is very topical and very imminent. The Dutch authorities will then support the Greek authorities for better planning, prioritization, and implementation of their export promotion actions by the end of this year. And clearly, one of the important focuses for this will be a focus on branding, and the work on this will be done in cooperation between the two authorities. The second important field in which the task force has offered technical assistance is export facilitation. The Greek authorities have asked for this support because the situation is different and not as good as in many other member states. Since March 2012, customs and trade facilitation experts from Sweden, the Netherlands, the United Nations, together with the task force, are providing assistance to Greek authorities in order to facilitate the procedures for the traders. In March 2012, the experts conducted a scoping mission in Greece in order to assess the situation and to provide recommendations to the Greek authorities. The report, which was established and communicated to the Greek authorities in April 2012 to the Minister of Development as well as the Minister of Finance highlighted that the current cost and delays embedded in the current export procedures are not sustainable for the Greek exporters and economy. In particular, the experts estimated that streamlining the Greek pre-customs and customs procedures at the EU level would reduce by 2 to 3 the cost of export transactions, especially for small shipments. And it could, according to economic estimates, increase the value of exports very significantly. In order to achieve these results, the experts have proposed to the Greek authorities a detailed roadmap for the improvement, including timing, priorities, and responsibilities, with the following points to be delivered. First of all, to establish a national export facilitation strategy agreed between all parties involved, steered at the highest political level, and implemented through a strong cooperation of all concerned. Secondly, to drastically simplify the pre-customs procedures by reducing the number of permits and certificates from several hundreds currently to a few dozens. For example, there are in Greece about 150 different types of certificates and licenses just for agricultural products versus 35 certificates and licenses in France in total across all sectors. And one cannot say that France isn't an agricultural producing country. Thirdly, to drastically simplify the customs procedures by decreasing, not increasing, certainly not increasing, by decreasing the number of physical and documentary controls. Despite recent very important improvements already, the number of physical and documentary controls should decrease even further by 4 to 5 times to reach the EU levels, which is at about 5% vis-à-vis 20% in Greece. By further optimizing the organization of the custom offices to reduce the number of steps to be undergone by exporters in a custom office by at least 50%, by increasing the usage of simplified procedures for traders, which are currently very rarely used in Greece, and by opening the custom brokers profession to all economic operators with a view to decrease the costs of export transactions. Implementing such simplifications will become even more important for the exports to non-EU countries, as these have grown over the last years and months in importance for Greece. So, what are the next steps? There has been a scoping mission of the United Nations trade experts last week here in Athens, and through their facilitation and support, the Development Ministry and the Finance Ministry have reached a common vision on the definition of a common export facilitation strategy and on the implementation of the roadmap. These elements will be presented, improved and agreed with all stakeholders during a workshop which will take place the 19th and 20th of July in Athens. And again, I'm sure that many of you in the room will participate and be interested in this. It will be managed by the United Nations. The export facilitation strategy and the associated implementation roadmap should then become a national priority. Finally, let me also say that, of course, we are very much aware of the very difficult situation in terms of access to finance and in particular to trade finance these days. And it is urgent to take some action to improve the situation. In particular, I think many of you exporters are waiting for the reimbursement of VAT. This is a very crucial aspect which needs to be tackled soon. Altogether, since 2009, exporters are owed by the state approximately 450 million euros. And this backlog clearly should be cleared as soon as possible in view of the very difficult financial situation in which many of the exporters find themselves. I think that with actions on these three fronts, export promotion, export facilitation, and the reimbursement of VAT amounts due, the export sector would have an even better future than during the last months and years. Thank you very much for your attention.